Hi, my name's Nat Hopking and we are in Victoria Warehouse, Manchester today on tour with Mabel with the Midas HD96. The tour has been running for a couple of weeks now. We started in Dublin on the 27th of Jan and we're running through till March the 8th. It's kind of coming down through the country, finishing off in London, a week or so off, and then we're off to Europe. A friend of mine knew some guys from Midas head office. And when I heard it was a possibility to maybe even come and look at one, he put me in contact with Midas, and literally within a day they got back to me and said, yeah, if you'd like to come have a look at one, possibly use one on the tour, that'd be great. And this was on Friday, and then on Sunday, on everyone else's day off, Max from Midas came and met me, opened up the office for me, and we came in, had a look. I fiddled around with it for probably half an hour and was like, yeah, I'll take one. My first impression was how visually stunning it is to look at, especially this screen is just, I don't know how it translates on camera, but when you stood in front of it, it's amazing. And the first thing was like, wow, it was so fresh and new. I was like, I'm never going to know how to use this. But actually, when you dig into it, a lot of your old school, if you're Midas, a lot of your old school workflows are still kind of in there. The way you sort of, use pop groups and things, they're all there, but it's kind of got this fresh facelift, and the software is really intuitive and lovely to use. So I've used Midas a lot, but not always stayed faithful. I've been using the S6L quite a bit lately, purely on this kind of touring circuit and this kind of genre, if you like. There's always high channel count, a lot of stereo stuff, which this now tackles brilliantly. It will sell itself on the fact that people will, like I did, look at it and think this is complicated, but actually, it's not. When we went into production rehearsals for this before Christmas, band rehearsals, I couldn't make the first day, so I sent Casper Jelek down to set it up for me, big up Casper. He'd never even seen one or touched one before, and within an hour he got it tipped up, working, patched in, and was setting up a show covering for me and got the band going and doing rehearsals, and one or two phone calls just to say, how do I do this? And for me personally, I think it's great for doing monitors. Pro 2, Pro X I've also had on monitors, but for this is great, especially having the way the auxiliaries now work on this. There's different modes, different things you can do. Having stereo ear mixes on one fader, so I've got eight ear mixes there straight away. The fact that you've got this big screen, there's a lot of information in front of you. And so you can kind of go from looking at your artist to the screen and back, and not having to be nose deep in the console, which is handy. Shout mixer feature's all right, I didn't start using it because I couldn't be bothered to work it out, if I'm honest. But actually, I thought, no, I'm going to give it a go, and it's a doddle. And yeah, being able to, especially in an ears environment, one of the first things is to get the communication up and running so everybody can hear each other, and punching your ins and outs on the shout mixer page. I mean, this isn't there's not a massive amount of personnel on this. The band's relatively small, but having everybody here and everybody's outputs there and being able to mix that and adjust levels quickly and have different presets saved is great. It's a really good feature, that, and I think people are going to like it. I tend to operate inputs and pop groups here, outputs there. Don't really do processing on my outputs. It's just not something I really do. We spent a lot of time getting it right at source with Ashton Miranda, our MD. So that when it comes into me, coupled up with how great it sounds, I don't do very little to individual channels, but things for like her vocal. Some of the onboard plugins of this console are just amazing. What you get, what you're going to get for your money. considering how much I've spent on plugins that, you know, thousands, but things like this R-Comp, whoever made these in your office deserves a pay rise, because that sounds great. Has it improved in terms of from, let's say, a Pro X, for example? At the moment, it's hard for me to tell because it's always sounded so good. And I think in this day and age, consoles sounding good is kind of a given now. I've not needed a Midas product to sound any better. Possibly one or two reverbs, but now with the ones that have come out with this, the VSS4 and stuff, it sounds great. I've never needed it to sound better. It sounds incredibly stable when there's a lot of sonic energy going through it. It doesn't start to get gnarly. It deals with information very well. It just sounds as good as you'd expect it to. Being able to react quickly to a request, especially with the flip and pop group thing, has always been quick. So if someone's waving at me going, I want this, that and the other, which they never do because the mix is always spot on. But I literally flip mode, drums, a little bit more kick, come back out, flip, home, and it's done. Way much quicker. I have Manchino thing's great. Weird name, great concept. In fact, I used it yesterday. I used it initially to set the board up because you can sort of select everything, put everything at 0, post everything, pre-everything, whatever you want to do. But I used it yesterday. Playback tech we were on a smaller stage yesterday, wanted less drums. Just selected all the drums, set his mix and brought it down, come out. It's a really good feature, that. The effects and plugins thing, you've done really well, because even on this, I've not had a chance to use everything because there's so much choice. What I say would probably be my favourite ones that are on here so far. I really like this little badger, the R-Comp. It's just great for vocals. This is cool. Don't know where you got the name or design for that from, but it's great. Reverb, everyone was talking about the VSS4 being on this. That's exactly what I've used. Just as a bit of a reverb on her vocal. We only run 2 reverbs on this show, a bit for the drums, which no one really has, and then reverb for her vocal, which is used throughout the show. But yeah, it's great. Plugins are great. I'm using sort of channel gates and bits of compression in the inputs, but nothing major. I think the plugin racks are going to be fantastic for people using this on front of house more. I tried to keep things quite relatively simple for monitors, but what you can get on those racks is going to be people are going to love it. It's going to be really good. I flip between the two. I've not quite found my home yet. Doing EQ, I tend to do over here. It just feels natural to use a rotary, but the screen works great. I use the one-pot shot stuff a lot. During the show, I'll drag and drop certain things that I want to access all the time. But the one thing I've been using quite a bit is the audition mode on the EQ, especially in tighter venues when you're trying to sort of dig stuff out or cut stuff. It works well. You can be really aggressive with your sweeps, so you can hear, and then being able to update that in real time, it's really good.